For more than a century, the greatest open-wheel racers from around the world have dreamed of racing here, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This year's crop of Star Mazda Championship drivers have also come from around the globe to take the next step on the Mazda road to Indy. Drivers like Britain's Jack Hawksworth, who already has 2 victories this year. Colombia's Gabi Chavez, he's finished top 5 in every event this season. Argentina's Martin Suncio, the winner of our last race at Barber Motorsports Park. They, along with the rest of the Star Mazda Championship drivers, are looking for another step up the ladder of success. A win at Lucas Oil Raceway will be that step. This is round number 5 of the Star Mazda Championship on the Mazda Motorsports Hour.
Welcome to the Lucas Oil Raceway. We're on the west side of Indianapolis for the 5th race of the 2012 Star Mazda Championship season, the night before the 500. I'm Rick Benjamin. James Hinchcliffe is alongside Todd Lewis, who you met a moment ago. We'll have our coverage down on pit road. This is one of those moments, I think, in the Star Mazda Championship, James, that there's so much at stake here. You're in Indy. It's your first of only 2 oval outings this season. There's a lot these guys have to think about.
Certainly, and it's the night before the 500, and I think that does still weigh on some of these drivers, even though they're not racing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They're in town, and this is a build-up to the big race.
Let's meet our pole sitter. He's with Todd.
Connor DeFilippi's holding the flag of celebration and a smile on his face. He won this race last year, on the pole again tonight. Can we have a repeat win?
Absolutely, that's certainly the plan. I mean, man, it's been a lot of hard work. But during the preseason testing, we weren't the strongest on the ovals, but man, my engineer and I, Ernie, we kept working and working and working, and last night the car really clicked, and from then on I knew that, you know, we're going to be right there in the zone, ready to go for the pole. So can't thank the guys enough, can't thank ModSpace enough, and the 124 and Sparco and Oakley and all my sponsors that got me here, and it's been definitely one of the best pulls in my career, because the work that we had to put in to get this was phenomenal, and it's so glad it all came together.
You must be anxious to get back to the winner's circle too, and hold that checkered flag of victory.
That's what we're aiming for. That's what we need. You know, we got to make up a few points here. Jack has a little bit of a points lead, and he didn't have the greatest qualifying session here at ORP, so I'm looking forward to gaining some points, but we really just got to focus on, you know, I do my job. I know the car's going to be good, so that I think should be a recipe for a win here tonight.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Connor DeFilippi, pole sitter. He'll lead them into corner number 1 here at Lucas Oil Raceway.
And starting from the pole and winning the race last year, definitely a lot of confidence in that young man heading into tonight's race.
Our championship standings, Jack Hawksworth, we saw him a moment ago, nearly a 30-point lead over DeFilippi. Tonight's fast qualifier, Gabi Chavez, Scuncio, and Juan Pedrojita, the rest of the top 5. There are ovals, and then there are ovals, James Hinchcliffe. This was pretty tricky.
This is a tricky little racetrack. It is fairly flat. What I love about this racetrack is how you've got to run high. The fast line is right up against the wall. It really challenges these drivers. It means they've got to get close, they've got to push the limits, and it also leads to some pretty good racing.
It is a short track, but it's way bigger than a 5/8 mile. This is more than 0.6 of a mile around. Speeds at Lucas Oil Raceway plenty high in these tracks.
Incredibly quick for these cars, and because the times are so close, it's important to really be consistent throughout the race here.
Connor DeFilippi takes the pole. He'll choose the outside lane, it appears, for the start. Sage Karam from Andretti Autosport will start second. His teammate Zach Veach, and there's Pedrojita qualifying 4th quick for tonight's grid. 16 cars in our starting lineup. We take you back to row number 3. Petri Savanto from Finland. Diego Ferreira will start 6th in the 57 car. Back to row number 4 here tonight at Lucas Oil Raceway. Martin Scuncio qualifies 7th. Bruno Pali, who was so good at Barber a couple of weeks ago on the road course, he'll line up 8th. Back one more row, Jack Hawksworth, the championship leader. Gabi Chavez, who's been in the top 5 at every race thus far this season. Gustavo Menezes and Carlos Linares make up the 11th and 12th starting spots. The 6th row here on our grid tonight. Mendez and Zach Meyer in the 7th row. We take you back to our 8th row as we get set to go 100 laps tonight. Ashley Freiberg and Camilo Schmidt. One car late to get off of pit road and get out onto the racetrack. That's the 15 car, Bruno Pali, who will start in the 8th position tonight. James, I've got to think of the 16 drivers in the field. Some have never seen an oval before.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and this is a bit of a baptism of fire because this is a tricky little racetrack, low banking, not a lot of grip to hold the cars in there. You really have to hustle it around at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. So let's move on to the Mazda keys to the race here for tonight's race. Consistency, mistakes can definitely be costly because the times are so close. One little mistake can open up that gap for another guy to come in. Traffic, it's all going to be about lap traffic for these leaders, knowing when to pass, time that pass, don't get caught up. And to go along that same lines, patience. Don't force the issue. You really have to wait for that opening because, again, it can really catch you off guard, and guys can freight train you very easily on these momentum tracks.
Mazda safety car heads for pit road. 100 laps of action. First of 2 ovals this season for the Star Mazda Championship drivers. Just more than a second covered the field from first to last in qualifying. De Filippi brings them out of turn 4. Green flag is in the air. We're underway at Lucas Oil Raceway.
Definitely a clean start from him. He got a good jump, and look at that nice high line. We see guys side by side through the first corner. This is the most likely time for an accident. Hopefully everybody plays nice. Zach Veach there slipping into 3rd place.
Sage Karam in 2nd, a lot of activity behind. It's very tempting at this place. Done a lot of races here over the years. To want to go to the bottom, to think you can dive bomb somebody going into 1 or just try that low line, doesn't usually work very well, does it?
Well, that's the trick about this racetrack is the only way to get around guys is to hold that inside line because the preferred line is up top as we ride on board with Zach Veach now in 3rd place. So you see he's going to have to stick his wing just a little bit to the left there, try and get some clean air on that front wing and hold that front grip and try and get the run, which again, you're going to have to dive down eventually and make sure that car's working on the lower groove.
Karam 2nd in the red car, his teammate Veach 3rd in that purple and green machine. Good battle for 4th position here. They're side by side going down the back straightaway.
And that's Scuncio. He's looking down the inside there. He's already made a pass. He's looking now at Juan Pedrojita. He made it by one of the Pelfrey cars earlier, so his car's working on the bottom, and that is going to be big for him.
Pedrojita is in the 9. That's the blue machine with the black trim. And the inside, one of the Juncos cars, the 22 car, that's Martin Scuncio.
Yeah, he seems really hooked up on the inside right now,
Yeah.
and that's going to be good. You know, he's taking advantage when the tires are fresh and really trying to make some moves here as he now chases Zach Veach in 3rd place.
Scuncio definitely on the move. Now, he has run Star Mazda for a couple of seasons. Not his first trip to an oval track. This seems to be something he likes.
Certainly, and that could definitely, you know, play into his benefit as he moves up the Mazda road to Indy, getting into Indy Light Series, where obviously there's more of an oval presence on the calendar, and it is a very big skill set, and that's one of the things that these IndyCar team owners are looking at in young drivers.
Connor De Filippi has led all the way so far. Very impressive youngster out of California, too. The Pelfrey cars side by side into 1.
Got to play nice. I mean, the golden rule of racing is do not crash with your teammate, and it's got a a great little battle going on here. Menezes is a little bit disappointed with qualifying. He ran in the top 5 in both practice sessions, and I don't think he got the most out of it over the qualifying run. And obviously, Hawksworth trying to rebound from also not a great qualifying. The championship leader here trying to chase down his rival, who's now leading the race.
Dale Pelfrey's cars. Pelfrey, a former IndyCar team owner, certainly very familiar with oval racing. But for a guy like Jack Hawksworth, who's been so impressive in the first 2 road course doubleheaders of the season, this is really going to school tonight.
Absolutely. You know, Jack obviously comes from a road racing background, so the likes of Barber certainly wasn't new to him. Street circuits in St. Pete, maybe that was a little bit of a learning curve, but still a fundamental same skill set. Here on the ovals, it's a completely different challenge, knowing how to set the car up, knowing how to race with, work with traffic. So he's definitely learning a lot tonight, but that'll play into his hands, and hopefully he'll be a bit stronger in Iowa.
School's in session in the early going here at Lucas Oil Raceway. Connor De Filippi holding class for the rest of the field. He's got a 15-car length advantage over Karam, Veach, Scuncio, and Pedrojita. We'll be back. Welcome back to Lucas Oil Raceway on the Mazda Motorsports Hour, coverage of the Star Mazda Championship, part of the night before the 500 program, USF 2000. Also on the card, we'll have their event for you in the weeks to come here on the Mazda Motorsports Hour. Back to take a look at Martin Scuncio in the 22, one of the Juncos cars. He seems to like this place quite a bit.
Yeah, he made up some ground early, but he's sort of getting into a bit of a rhythm now. He's not chasing down the top 3, but again, the top 3 quick. You've got Connor, who won the race last year, and then both the Andretti Autosport cars, Sage Karam and Zach Veach, both in the top 3 in both practice sessions. So you got very strong competitors ahead of them.
The Pelfrey cars a little further behind. We took a look earlier at Ferreira and Jack Hawksworth. Hawksworth leading the championship, but struggling here, trying to kind of hold on to a top 10 position. Now only 2 ovals in the 17 race schedule for the Star Mazda Championship. Of course, the Mazda Road to Indy Scholarship in play as we watch the 2 car. Your leader, Connor DeFilippi, lapping a couple of cars already here tonight. These guys have to be careful with the 2 ovals. You can't give up too many points, I think, if you're Hawksworth.
No, again, this is a championship, as Indy Lights is, as the IndyCar Series is, where you really have to be, a master of all trades. You have to be a guy who's consistent over all the different kinds of racetracks that we go to.
Side by side for 5th, Petri Suvanto in the Pelfrey car, the 81, the yellow machine on the inside, gets by one Pedro Hita. Well, maybe not.
Side-by-side action here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. This is what we want to see. This is what the fans want to see. But it looks like he's going to slip by now. And again, it's making that car work on that lower lane.
And the line here at Lucas Oil Raceway, so different from a lot of ovals. If you can pass on the bottom, you do put on what a sprint car driver would call a slide jump. You want to go up and cover that outside lane.
Absolutely, and that's what he did very well. I mean, again, Petri Suvanto fairly new to the ovals, and it looks like he's picking it up quite quickly.
17 laps are on the board here at Lucas Oil Raceway. Running order top of your screen, Ferreira and Hawksworth, 9th and 10th, the 2 Pelfrey cars we're seeing here, as lap traffic is really a factor tonight. Big speed differential between the leaders and the cars at the back of the pack.
But the problem is when you're on the edge, on the limit through these long corners at either end of this racetrack, you don't have a lot of room to move the car. You don't have a lot of control. So when you're coming up on a slower car, again, you really have to time these passes. You don't want to be catching them right in the middle of the corner. You're going to have to slow down a lot. You lose downforce on the car starts sliding around. So timing these passes, even on the lap cars, is very important.
A Replay XD onboard look from the cockpit of Jack Hawksworth's machine. Hawksworth kind of fighting it a little bit. Is he putting a little too much wheel in there? Is that a push problem he's got?
It looks like a little bit of a push. He's running a little bit of a tighter line, but part of that is also to get just the left side of his front wing in some clean air and try and get a little bit of downforce. That's what you have to do when you're running behind these cars, especially with the high line that we're running here, is try and peak the car up just a tiny little bit, get some clean air on your car.
Hawksworth out of turn 2 on the back straightaway. Got to be a little bit frustrating for him if you're used to domination the way he had done at Barber and had been so strong at St. Petersburg. To be stuck back in the field, that's a new experience for him too.
It is, but it's also a great test. A champion's got to know when he's got a first-place car and know when he's got a fifth-place car. And so for today, for Jack Hawksworth, he's got to learn. He's got to get some of this experience under his belt. It's still a long race. We're about 20 laps into this race. He still has 80 to try and make some ground up. But like I said, learn, conserve the car. Just don't get yourself into any bad situations where you could potentially have an accident, and then it's a really bad points day.
Gabi Chavez in the blue and black machine at the front of this group, the 19. He's been a top 5 car week in, week out. Another driver who seems to be maybe a little bit not as comfortable as he'd like to be in this circumstance, but boy, this kid very comfortable. Connor DeFilippi in the 2, just dominant here tonight.
You just can't phase this kid right now. I mean, he's coming in here with a very successful team that's been great at this racetrack. He started on the pole. He won this race last year. He knows how to do it. So he is going to be very, very tough to beat this evening.
Like in that high line here at Lucas Oil Raceway. Now in oval track racing, of course, commonly you would think of pit stops having to be made. Not so in Star Mazda. You shouldn't have to come to pit road here. So it's more, I would think, tire management for these guys tonight would be really important.
You absolutely nailed it. 100 laps around this racetrack. You're pushing these things very hard. It is going to come down to how much meat is left on that tire in the last sort of 15 laps in this shootout for the finish.
Now, as someone who has made that transition into IndyCar, where you'll run, 5 ovals, I guess it is this year, is the right rear tire the key, or is it the right front?
It really depends on how the car's handling. It looks like a lot of these guys are batting a little bit more understeer than oversteer, so it's going to be that right front. And, this isn't a flat-out racetrack for these guys. They are lifting in the corners. They're having to really drive these cars, so they do have a little bit of control over what kind of punishment they put on that tire. They also have some tools in the car. They do have a front roll bar that they can adjust, which you can soften or stiffen it to either gain or try and take away a bit of front grip. And staying on top of your tools on the ovals is a very, very big skill as well.
Take a look at your second place driver. That's Sage Karam of the Comfort Solutions 88, one of your teammates at Andretti Autosport, doing a nice job here tonight. Doesn't seem to have the speed. Here's some side-by-side action at Lucas Oil Raceway.
And look at that. We see a little bit of a wiggle from the 15 car, Bruno Pali, as he gets passed there by Hawksworth. And again, they're going around the lap car now of Ashley Freiberg. This is what I was talking about. It's timing those passes and making sure you don't lose your momentum.
Because if you come up on somebody in the middle of the corner and you haven't planned it out properly and you've got to go for the brakes in these cars, it could take you quite a while to get your speed back up.
Absolutely. This is all about momentum around this place. And so it's just key to not have to back out of the throttle in the middle of the corner like that. As we see Polly now trying to put Freiberg a lap down. Having a rough night is Ashley.
Yeah, she's 15th in the running order right now. Polly in the top 10 in 9th position. but Ashley Freiberg struggling to stay up to speed. Good battle for position here as we watch the Pelfrey cars, and that's the 57 car, also in the hunt here, moving through some of the slower traffic down the back straightaway at Lucas Oil Raceway.
Again, it's still a traffic game. You know, these are when these guys, especially in the midfield, I mean, DeFilippi's kind of running away with it up front, but these guys in the midfield, their best opportunity to try and set up a pass for position is when everyone else is trying to set up a pass to put a car a lap down.
Mendez there in the 53. He's already toward the tail end of the running order and about to go a lap down, it looks like, to Bruno Pali in the 15, who's having a decent outing in this car.
Yeah, he is. He's just a little bit behind that pack. He's trying to get up back into them because I think he could race with them and maybe make up a couple positions.
Trying to get to the top 10. We take a look at the leader, Connor DeFilippi in the 2. Now, when you're this far out in front, and you've obviously got this figured out at the moment, how far ahead are you thinking? Are you thinking, okay, I've got to save stuff for the last 10 laps? Oh, trouble. Car gets into the wall off of turn 2. A hard lick into the concrete here.
He's thinking how to stay out of trouble right now as we see Zach Meyer in the wall.
Absolutely. Meyer coming off, too, got crossed up, whacked the outside wall in the Dams Partners 66 car. And it looks like he's okay moving around in there. Looked like he just missed the safer barrier into the concrete off of turn 2.
Yeah, never a pleasant feeling. And you saw him sort of waving his hand around there as if he may have hurt his wrist a little bit. So hopefully he's okay. There's no such thing as a small wreck on an oval. That's the problem. As we see the replay, just middle of the corner. And like you say, just caught the side of the safer barrier. And yeah, very unfortunate. That one's going to leave him a bit sore tomorrow.
Coming off a corner like that.
Look at the save by Zach Veach to get around him.
Take another look. We have an onboard view. Oh, yeah. Got behind on his steering a little bit.
Yeah, that's all it is, and that's all it takes. You see how quickly those other cars were going by. That was Sage Karam and Zach Veach trying to avoid the incident. Very, very lucky there, but it's the nature of oval racing. You know, sometimes it's just on the knife edge.
Little bit loose, gets away from him on the outside. Looks like the driver is okay. DeFilippi has led all the way so far at Lucas Oil Raceway. Welcome back to Lucas Oil Raceway, the Mazda Motorsports Hour. Coverage of the Star Mazda Championship, part of the night before the 500 program. USF 2000 also on the docket, and we'll have that broadcast for you a little bit later in the season. Getting set for a restart after Zach Meyer clouded the turn 2 wall. Jack Hawksworth still struggling in that Pelfrey car to hang into the top 10. Qualified 9th, running in 10th position right now. Zach Meyer's AIM Autosport entry going out on the hook. Ironically, Todd Lewis earlier talked to Meyer's engineer about switching to oval racing.
Normally, we see these Star Mazda Championship cars turning both right and left on road and street courses. Keith Willis from AIM Autosport, though, is going to tell us about the changes that have to take place to work at a track like Lucas Oil Speedway. It's a completely different setup, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's like when people say, okay, we got to be there. It's at least a minimum 1 day. And we had new suspension added to the cars this year, the bell cranks or rockers. So that added another endeavor that we had to figure out is what do we need to do for this oval.
So you can work on suspension to help the driver turn. Do you work with stagger at all in these tires?
Yeah, unfortunately we don't get, Goodyear doesn't have a staggered tire for us. They have a different compound tire from right to left that helps us. But the big thing that we work on more than anything is like you hear in NASCAR. So there's some tilt and wedge, and the drivers themselves, they understand that. So they have to deal with these different terminologies that they're not used to on road courses.
So it's a bit of a learning curve for the drivers, especially your driver, Zach Meyer, who's never driven an oval before.
Exactly. With Zach this year, this is his first weekend. He's used to coming off the throttle immediately. Now it's like you have to baby it, like just lift in slowly, and then back to throttle. So it's taken him a long time to figure that out, and he's just getting there.
A lot to learn for both the team and the driver, making the switch from road courses to ovals.
Was that transition hard for you when you first saw an oval track?
You know, it was very difficult because as much as the race car still got 4 wheels and a steering wheel, it's a very different skill set, and getting on top of that and the setup and what the car needs to feel like, it's a lot of work and it takes experience.
So the AIM Autosport guys will have some work ahead of them to get Meyer's machine ready to go. Back-to-back oval runs for the Star Mazda Championship. Next up, Iowa Speedway, a very fast 7/8 of a mile oval in a few weeks. DeFilippi, the restart leader, the 88 car, Sage Karam right behind him. Zach Veach restarts third, then it's a scramble behind the top 3.
And this caution is not what DeFilippi wanted to see, and he's got a great restart trying to control that pace now, but if there's anybody that can maybe make a move, we know that that Sage Karam is the aggressive guy. As we look at 3 wide down into turn 3.
Pedro to the bottom. It's very tempting to go down there at Lucas Oil Raceway. You can rarely make it work, though.
Side by side with his teammate. I think there's a lap car in the mix there. One of of the Pelfrey cars up front of that train. This is action. There's a lot of dirty air back there. These guys are holding onto these cars as we see another one maybe looking down the inside, more three-wide action here.
Wow, looks like Hawksworth taking a break there. That's the 83 car. Taking a look to the bottom. That's the car of Gustavo Menezes trying to make it work on the bottom. He does make a little bit of a move.
And we said this earlier, Gustavo was not happy with his qualifying pace. He did have a great car in practice, and this was a great opportunity to bunch the field up and let him get running a little bit.
Gabby Chavez there in the 19, one of our strong championship contenders this year, trying to hang out on the high side.
And he's tough. You know, he's got some dirty air in front of him. Menezes has the tighter line, the more difficult one, but the clean air, and it looks like that was enough. But Gabby tries to come back. That's going to be too tight a line. He backs out of that wisely. Now Menezes has his eyes forward again.
Gabby Chavez trying to hold on to position here. Jack Hawksworth makes a move and gets by.
And you can see the momentum that it takes, that little bit of a lift when Menezes gets by, and it really just destroyed his run there. He's lost another place to Hawksworth, and he's going to be under threat again now.
Petri Suvanto in the 81 takes advantage of all this scrambling and starts to gain a little bit of ground on this pack of cars.
Petrihita, though, he's got him in his sights. This is great. When these cars get bunched up, man, these guys are very aggressive, even though a lot of them are doing their first oval race.
Suvanto in 5th position, able to hang on there. Meantime, Bruno Pali in the 15 has learned a lot, I'd say, in the first 30 or so laps tonight.
Absolutely, and Menezes as well. Look at him now. He's really aggressive on these restarts. He caught up to Pali, and he's already trying to set up this pass, but you saw him make an attempt that didn't work. He had to get out of the throttle, and now Hawksworth tries to look down the inside. You've really got to time these passes right.
Out of turn number 4 out of the front straightaway here at Lucas Oil Raceway. Everyone giving chase to Connor DeFilippi, who's led all the way in the 2 car for the Juncos team, the Mod Space entry. Is battling for position back 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. All in play on the backstretch as we work into the night before the 500 program. A couple of laps short of halfway. Top 3 remain the same. Scuncio is 4th, Suvanto 5th, and Juan Petrihita in the 9 car at the front of this group. And there is DeFilippi. Good move on the restart, got the jump on everybody again, and he's lengthening that lead.
I mean, that's domination right there. We've only been green for about 5 laps, and look at the gap back to Sage Karam and Zach Veach. This is a very, very impressive, well thought out, measured drive from Connor DeFilippi.
There's the gap back to the 2nd place car, the 88 machine of Sage Karam, the Comfort Solutions entry. Zach Veach in 3rd. We're watching DeFilippi. We saw him last time around, coming off 4-year, up by the wall. Takes that turn and goes down the racetrack a little bit to get away from the wall, then back up in the corner. That's not the shortest way.
It's not the shortest way, but it's the most comfortable way, just to not run to the wall all the time.
Team engineers keeping an eye on the telemetry, closing in on halfway. Welcome back on the Mazda Motorsports Hour alongside James Hinchcliffe, I'm Rick Benjamin, Todd Lewis with our coverage on Pit Road. We're at Lucas Oil Raceway, a little bit west of Indianapolis Motor Speedway, for the night before the 500, first oval race of the season for the Star Mazda Championship. And Connor DeFilippi for the 2nd straight season, James, waxing the field here tonight.
He really is putting on a bit of a clinic. And again, like we said earlier, the ability to race on the ovals, to manage the car, manage the tires, know the setup, know the racecraft, that's going to be such a big part for Connor as he looks to move up the Mazda Road to Indy, into Indy Lights, and eventually into the Eyes on IndyCar Series.
He's certainly one of the favorites to pick out the championship and the scholarship, the funded Mazda Road to Indy ride into Indy Lights next season. Take a look back. There is the 3rd place car, the 77 of Zach Veach, under a little bit of pressure now. Martin Scuncio trying to take 3rd away. Earlier, Todd talked to some of the young drivers in this series about the challenges of oval track racing.
This is my first full season in a Star Mazda, and I'm coming from Skip Barber, so I'm also getting used to the Star Mazda car, having wings, having slicks, and especially on an oval, the wings work a lot because it's all high speed. So I've been getting used to that, and also the difference between an oval and a road course. It's instead of stopping really hard and getting that good exit speed, it's like you want to get this nice consistent momentum around the whole track. So that's kind of been a different mindset for me, but I'm getting used to it.
You know, I've always been more of an oval racer myself, just because, you know, you have to be more mentally thinking about things. You have to be smooth, easy with things, and, you know, it's just a whole different animal. A road course, you need to be aggressive, you got to fight for it, but you come out here, you got to have so much respect for the guys around you, and it's all about just momentum, keeping the car rolling, being as smooth as possible, and just being a really smart racer.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely just keeping the momentum, because the higher you go, the faster you go, and if your car can stay up higher, then you're going to be faster. So it's pretty much just keeping that momentum and not overdriving it. You got to find that fine line of what's driving it hard and what's not overdriving it. So, you know, it's a very fine line out there on these ovals, but once you get it, you really get it.
Yeah, I mean, Sage really nailed it there. It is a very fine line, and it's the difference between not driving hard enough and driving too hard is Ashley Freiberg very close to the wall there up in the gray. That was a little bit over the line. That's that very fine line we were just talking about.
That great replay XD onboard look there. You could see she was perilously close with that right rear. Don't want to white wall a tire here at Lucas Oil Raceway. That can give you, well, it can give you more than a moment, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, usually you don't get away with white walling in an open wheel car on an oval.
Jack Hawksworth in the 82. There's his teammate, the Pelfrey 83 car. That's the car being driven by Gustavo Menezes, and he's trying to make a move up as well as we get past halfway tonight. Hawksworth in the 82 car moving into the top 10 solidly. The 83 car, meantime, struggling just a little bit here the last several laps. There's your leader, Connor DeFilippi in the 2 car. That's the Mod Space machine out of the Juncos stables. One of the strong teams in Star Mazda competition. He's led all 60 laps tonight.
Yeah, it's very, it almost looks like an easy Saturday night drive for Connor, but I guarantee you it's a different story from inside the cockpit. There's no such thing as an easy race or an easy win, but he's definitely in control of this race, and I think that's the important thing right now.
Andre Mendez there in the 53 car, a couple of laps down to the leaders. Meantime, the Andretti Autosport teammates, Karam and Veach, second and third, trying to close down on the leader. How about it, Todd Lewis? Have they got anything for DeFilippi tonight?
Guys, just got an update on the 2 Andretti Autosports drivers, Zach Veach and Sage Karam. Both have been pretty quiet so far in this event. Zach's happy with his car. Sage Karam reporting his is just a little bit free. Neither one of them, though, believe they have anything for Connor DeFilippi tonight.
And you know, as a racing driver, you never try and give up. You always push to the last lap, but you do sometimes feel so defeated when you are driving as hard as you possibly can, and a guy like Connor DeFilippi is just leaving the field behind.
And in this situation where it's 100 laps nonstop pretty much, you can't pit for an adjustment. There's nothing you can do to fix it except adjust that Andy roll bar.
You got the one Andy roll bar, and then you've got just adjusting your line, adjusting your rhythm a bit as we ride on board with Zach. But, you know, as they said, Sage reporting a little bit of a loose car. That's definitely not what you want around this racetrack, especially as you start getting into dirty air. And as he comes up on lap cars here, this might actually give Zach a chance to close that gap.
As we saw earlier, when Zach Meyer got into the wall off turn 2, you get a little bit loose, it can become a big problem pretty quickly. No problems at all, though, for Connor DeFilippi. Now, we've passed the 60 lap mark. Is he starting to think, I'm hearing this, I'm feeling that. Are you starting to overthink this maybe a little bit?
No, I don't think with how dominant he's been that it's an issue. You know, he's gone through traffic fine. He hasn't had any real moments other than the Zach Meyer spin right in front of him here as he puts Ashley Freiberg another lap down. So I think he's just super comfortable right now, and more than anything, he's trying to conserve those tires because he knows that there is still a couple laps to run, and another caution could come out, bunching the field back up.
Connor DeFilippi out of turn 4. He'll put another lap on the board. Let's get an update from downstairs. Todd Lewis, how about our leader here tonight?
Guys, the word is all good from the Connor DeFilippi bit. Check with Ricky Giocos. He said everything is great. Connor's very quiet on the radio, not saying a word. Doesn't have his hands full at all, except he's having to work a little bit of traffic. But other than that, everything is good with that car.
Ricky Giocos, the team principal there, has got a couple of cars in the field tonight. Not a word being said on the radio. Do you not want, as he comes up on lap traffic, or do you not want to hear anything from the engineers at this point?
If there's nothing to report, no. I mean, he's in his zone. He's not reporting any problems with the car. You just let the driver get on with his job, and he's doing a very good job indeed.
Zach Veach in the 77, the other Andretti Autosport machine. They put Ashley Freiberg another lap down to second and third. He's trying a different line here to see if he can catch his teammate.
And it's going to be tough. I mean, Sage has been quick, and if there's a guy that can handle a little bit of a loose race car, it's probably Sage Karam. So unless the thing starts getting really vicious on him, he might have second place pretty comfortably.
Out of turn number 4 to put another lap on the board. DeFilippi has about a straightaway advantage. Fourth place belongs to Martin Scuncio. That's the other Juncos car, teammate to our leader's car. Scuncio's done a nice job tonight, as has Petri Savanto, but they've just been, nobody's been in the class of Connor DeFilippi this year.
It's almost been 2 races. It's been Connor's race and everybody else's race. But, you know, if another yellow comes out, who should be worried is actually the Andretti Autosport duo, because Scuncio, we've seen on those restarts, has been very quick and he's been able to get passes done. So those guys are comfortably in a podium position right now, but a caution could actually throw a wrench into their plans.
Connor DeFilippi's been very smooth tonight on the oval, and of course that's a big part of your training, as James has alluded to. If you want to be a star, if you want to make it through Indy Lights and get to IndyCar, you've got to be proficient at this. The world's biggest race, a couple of miles from here, on this same weekend, of course, the Indianapolis 500.
And this really is just such good training ground as we ride on board with our leader now. And the Mazda Road to Indy, we've talked about it before, Rick, but you just can't say enough about this program and how well it prepares young drivers for that move up the ladder.
Our Replay XD onboard view, the leader's eye view down into turn 1 here at Lucas Oil Raceway. Less than 30 to go. We'll be back with more of the Mazda Motorsports Hour. Back at Lucas Oil Raceway, coverage of the Star Mazda Championship, round number 5 of the 2012 season. It's the night before the 500, 100 laps of competition as we put 77 up on the board, less than 25 remaining. Battling here, second and third, still the Andretti Autosport cars, working lap traffic. The 77, the 88, the 88 is in second. That's Sage Karam's red machine. Of course, Zach Veach's teammate right behind. Couple of car lengths is the only bit of distance on the racetrack now.
Yeah, Sage has been held up behind Diego Ferreira for a couple laps there as he tries to put him a lap down, and it's allowed Zach to get a little bit closer, maybe within striking distance, as they both clear him now coming off of 2.
Moving by the 57 car of Diego Ferreira, they'll come next up on the 19 machine. That's one of the JDC entries, Gavi Chavez, who's been such a strong competitor this year. And that's one of the things that traffic can do for you. If you're up on the wheel, you can really gain some ground here. Here's your second place car, Karam, the Replay XD on board, blows right by Chavez.
And it'll be important for Zach Veach to try and go through in that gap made by Sage there to try and stay in touch with his teammate.
You gotta look at the telemetry, what's on the steering wheel in these Star Mazda machines as the 77 goes by. That's Zach Veach's car, also picking up another lap on those cars that are running 9th, 10th, and 11th. What kind of information do you get in a Star Mazda machine compared to an Indy? Oh, in trouble. Ashley Freiberg has tangled with another car up, it looks like in turn 2. That's the 15 car. Yeah, Polly, one of our stronger runners this season. They get together. Doesn't look like it was a super hard hit, but it looks like both cars will be done for the night.
Yeah, certainly see some head shaking in the car there from Ashley. Be interesting to see what exactly happened there. Both those cars were at least a lap down.
So caution on the speedway with less than 20 to go. A leader's eye view here with Connor DeFilippi up ahead.
He's coming through, you know, very wisely, doesn't think to make it 3 wide. He knows he's got the room. Oh! And Ashley just slows down a little bit more than expected maybe and just gets hit by Bruno. Let's see if there's anything that caused her to be... No, she looked like she was just on line. Maybe Bruno just got into the corner a little bit too hot. Obviously, yeah. Ashley very surprised by this and very upset by this.
Great looks from our Replay XD onboard cameras there. Yeah, Ashley Freiberg not expecting to get jacked up going down into the corner.
Yeah, that was bizarre. It looked like Polly went in just a little bit hot, got a bit of understeer. He slid sort of from the middle lane all the way up to the high lane where Ashley was, and really just she was an innocent victim there.
I've sat in on enough drivers' meetings and have a little experience behind the wheel. One of the things that they try to teach in a lot of series, and I'm sure here, closing speed is not your friend sometimes.
No, absolutely not. And again, I got to give a lot of credit to Connor DeFilippi. He was coming up on a big pack of lapped cars. He had the momentum to try and make it 3 wide there, but he thought, you know what, I've got the gap. There's no point in risking it. Discretion got the better part of valor. And again, that's what's going to win this kid races.
Let's take a look for a moment while we're under caution. The Mazda Road to Indy Driver Development Program from USF 2000, which we'll see next week on the Mazda Motorsports Hour, to Star Mazda. If you win this championship, you get a ride in Indy Lights.
Absolutely, and that is the real training ground for the IZOD IndyCar Series, which is the goal of these young drivers right now.
Now the winner of the Star Mazda Championship a year ago, Tristan Vautier, and he's got the funded ride driving the 77 car. That's one of the Sam Schmidt Motorsports machines in Indy Light. He's done a great job so far this season. In fact, won his first Indy Light start.
If that doesn't show the training's there and works, I don't know what does.
Tristan Vautier at Indianapolis Motor Speedway this weekend. He was 3rd in the Freedom 100.
Yeah, what a program, man. I think that I would not have come over to USA if it was not for this program. So it's great, it's great. Like, it goes from go-kart to the top of the sport. And it just means that a guy who has more talent than the others, you know, can make it all the way even if he doesn't have the funding behind him. So it really makes the motorsports dream kind of accessible to like more people, and it's just great. The involvement of Mazda, the exposure they give us, like a fully funded ride for every championship you win on the ladder to step up to the next level. So it's just there's no words to describe it. It's just crazy.
Tristan Vautier benefiting greatly from his triumph in the Star Mazda Championship a year ago. 15 car goes out on the hook, unfortunately. Bruno Polly will not be around at the checkered flag tonight.
Yeah, and then you can see that car took a fair whack, quite a bit of damage to that, and as you said, they've got to get it back in oval trim for Iowa the next race.
Getting set for a restart. Safety car is in. A handful of laps to go. Single file, and it's DeFilippi leading the two Andretti Autosport cars down into one.
Yeah, Scuncio making a little bit of a jump start there to get by the lap car. He knows that a podium is on the cards as he goes now by Gabby Chavez, and he really does have his Andretti Autosport cars in his crosshairs.
And more young drivers starting to figure out your best opportunity to pass is on a restart.
And he's been aggressive at that. But speaking of aggressive, Sage Karam is not letting Connor DeFilippi get away the way that he has in the last restart.
Just a handful of laps remaining tonight at Lucas Oil Raceway, part of the night before the 500 Mazda Road to Indy program. USF 2000 also on the card. We'll see their event next week here on the Mazda Motorsports Hour. Now, DeFilippi getting back up to speed, starting to pull away again.
And again, this is what I was talking about during that big, long green run. He needed to save a little bit of the car, a little bit of the tires for this exact sort of scenario. We've got 10 laps left, and he had a very hungry Sage Karam breathing down his neck. So it's good that he saved the car, he saved the tires, and now he's just putting the hammer down and pulling that lead back out.
The three Pelfrey cars, the three yellow and black machines, 5th, 6th, and 7th right now. The 81 car, Petri Savanto, holding on to 5th. Jack Hawksworth back there in 7th. They're about to put Gabby Chavez another lap down, but he's running in the top 10 too.
Yeah, it just shows the pace of this race when the guys running in the top 10 are getting lapped by the leaders. And right in the middle, right here in 6th place, we got Menezes. And I got to say, I'm really impressed with the drive from him. He's, a young driver, a little bit excitable, very aggressive, but, not happy with his qualifying run as we've spoken about. But he's really been on a charge in the race, up from 11th to 6th place.
Petri Savanto to the inside of Chavez. This is not for position as they come out of turn 2. If you don't have that preferred high line, it's really hard to make the pass off the corner.
It is, and when you're putting a car a lap down, it's very frustrating from the driver's point of view because obviously, Savanto's having to deal with the dirty airs. We see Hawksworth making a move on his teammate Menezes. They're going to be side by side now into 1 and 2, and this situation is sort of created by all these guys trying. Oh, very, very close. These guys have spotters screaming in their radio right now. Car high, car low. You got to give each other room, guys. Menezes on the preferred line, but Jack really making that bottom groove work, and he slips in. Oh, big wiggle. This may allow Gustavo a chance to counter. Right in the draft, he's going to look low now. Here they go. This is great racing.
Side by side, teammates for position. Now, this kind of violates Rule 1 in the teammates rule book. Don't wreck your teammate.
Well, they haven't done it yet, and obviously with Hawksworth leading the championship, there's even more at stake here. But, Menezes has to run his own race. He's out there for himself, and he's still got to run now back up the inside onto the front straight.
Great stuff between two of the Pelfrey cars, all three of them running 5th, 6th, and 7th. Gabby Chavez there in the blue and black JDC machine. He's kind of in the mix, although not on the same lap.
And again, like I said, this is going to be a great experience for these guys, having their spotters and learning to work with your spotter. That's a very important part of oval racing, having that extra eyes in the sky trying to help you out. And right now where Hawksworth is being helped is when they get onto the straightaway, he's got that draft from the lap car of Chavez in front of him. So while Menezes may get a good run off the corner, Hawksworth's going to be quicker in a straight line as long as he's tucked in behind Gabby.
If they go back and look at the video of this race, somebody, I'm sure, maybe it's Dale Pelfrey, will tell all three drivers, now look what happened as you were doing this. Savanto said, see you later. This kills you.
It absolutely does, but I mean, we're down to a handful of laps left. This is for position, and you could see Hawksworth was very loose out of 3 and 4. It gave Menezes the run, and now he has slipped by him. He's got to try and get by Chavez now.
Chavez, of course, a pick there, and here comes Hawksworth back to the bottom.
That was good. That was a bold move for a guy who's driving a loose race car to go that far to the inside, and you saw him slide up the racetrack, and it killed his momentum a bit. It'll be tough to come back from that.
2 laps to go. The leader seeing he'll get the 1-lap signal next time by. The white flag will be out over Connor DeFilippi, who's just got to keep this underneath him, this race car in check for 1 more lap.
The white flag is waving, about to take his 2nd win here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. Very, very impressive drive. Very heads up, very mature, and I mean, just look what he did here tonight.
For the 19-year-old out of California, he's got a straightaway advantage over Sage Karam. Zach Veach will finish 3rd. Here comes DeFilippi in the Mod Space 2 car for Juncos Racing out of turn 4. Checkered flag in the air. 100 laps led tonight for Connor DeFilippi. That is dominance.
And it is, and great to see the teammates there cheering for him, even though they're out of the race. And this really, refires, reignites his championship campaign, taking this win and Hawksworth being back where he was. You can just see the excitement. He knows it. This is a big, big day for Connor DeFilippi.
No better feeling than to wax the field in this fashion and lead flag to flag for Connor DeFilippi. 2nd spot to Sage Karam. Zach Veach, his teammate in the 77. finishes in third position, so the two Andretti Autosport mates will occupy the other two steps on the podium.
Yeah, great result for them. You know, consistent all race long. They were no doubt the second and third best cars there.
So DeFilippi with plenty to celebrate tonight here at Lucas Oil Raceway. When we come back on the Mazda Motorsports Hour, we'll talk to your winner of the night before the 500. A hot summer night at Lucas Oil Raceway, just west of Indianapolis, and a hot performance by Connor DeFilippi. He's with Todd.
There's the helmet off, Connor DeFilippi. There's the medal. There's the first place hat put on him from John Doonan. Wow, what a dominating victory. Got a little pressure on that last restart, but you had everything under control.
I mean, it was easy with a car like that. I mean, the car was perfect. Never even had to remove the front roll bar once. The thing was just balanced the whole way through the race. And I was trying to lap the whole field, but those yellows were preventing it. But I can't thank the guys enough. Can't thank Mod Space for supporting me this year. They really are the main reason why I'm here. And thank you for Junkos Racing and everybody else who made this happen to really just put me here and give me this opportunity.
What a nice bounce back win. You had the win in the opening round this season, and it hasn't come quite as easily since then.
We had a good race in St. Pete. We learned a lot at Barber. You know, it just didn't quite work out, but hey, we bounced back here today, and that's all that counts. And we gained points, and now we just got to keep winning from here. So I'm confident in my team and confident in everybody involved. So now it's time to go get some more wins this year.
Congratulations, Connor DeFilippi, winner here at Lucas Oil Raceway.
And as the favorite coming into the season, there was a lot of pressure on him, and we know that Barber put a bit of a dent in that. So it's great to see him bounce back. Very, very pleased with that result.
So a road course win and now an oval win. We take a look at your top 10. Karam and Veach run second and third in front of Scuncio and Suvanto. Diego Ferreira rounds out the fast 10 here tonight. Connor DeFilippi's got a little extra bounce in his step, I would think, going off to Iowa.
Hard not to do it. Another oval. Hopefully he can repeat that performance.
All right, let's meet our second place finisher tonight, Sage Karam. Todd's caught up with him.
Sage Karam, you finished on the podium here last year, did again this year. You seem to really give Connor all he could handle on that final restart.
Yeah, I mean, really, I just knew that final restart was our only chance really to get him. He had a little bit better car than we did there, and the apron just had no grip there. So, I mean, we good points for us, definitely, coming off of what we've been coming off of. So, you know, it's just a good race for us, and Zach getting third, just a great race for Andretti Autosports, what we needed. So I'm real pleased.
Great night, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love the fire in this kid. I love the aggression, but it's controlled. You know, he's definitely toned it down a bit from last year. That was a smart heads-up drive. Tried to take the opportunity. It wasn't there, and he settled for second.
After tonight's win by DeFilippi, he closes the points gap on Jack Hawksworth. Third place finisher tonight was Zach Veach. She's with Todd.
Zach Veach on the podium. You said earlier that you thought you had a good car, maybe even a better car than you finished, but a strong effort here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we had a little bad luck starting off the season, but, you know, it's really good for me to be able to come out here. We finished on the podium, a strong result for K12. It's their first race we had on the car, so, you know, I'm really honored to be driving the K12 car, and, you know, I think we're just going to carry this into Iowa and then hopefully just go to a win or, you know, just stay on the podium. You can't complain with that either.
Great result, Zach. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Well, your young teammate Zach Veach has plenty of confidence as well.
Yes, certainly. I mean, he said early in the program that he was more of an oval driver. He likes this kind of racetrack. So, again, I mean, another kid looking forward to getting back on the ovals in Iowa in the next race.
Night before the 500, a doubleheader night here at Lucas Oil Raceway. Next week, we will show you the USF 2000 National Championship run here. Big scramble, lots of action. Look forward to that. Look forward to having you with us here on the Mazda Motorsports Hour. Been a wild one here tonight. The Star Mazda Championship, second consecutive year that Connor DeFilippi has taken the measure of the star field at Lucas Oil Raceway. We'll see what happens with this young man. We're early in the season, but it could be a great championship fight.
It certainly could. I mean, the back and forth between Connor DeFilippi and Jack Hawksworth has been great, and there's a few other guys that are knocking on the door.
Some drivers had a night of disappointment and maybe a little bit of pain resulting from what happened here, but for Connor DeFilippi, a night of triumph at Lucas Oil Raceway. For James Hinchcliffe and Todd Lewis, I'm Rick Benjamin. Thanks for joining us on the Mazda Motorsports Hour. We'll talk to you next time.